Hello everyone and welcome to 4-Minute Robotics. In this video, I'm going to show you how to put together the chassis or frame for a 4-wheel drive Arduino controlled smart car. Let's go over the materials that you'll be using for this project. You'll need 2 acrylic frame pieces, 8 acrylic fasteners, 4 coated discs, 8 30mm M3 screws, 6 6mm M3 screws, 14 M3 nuts, 6 M3 brass spacers, 4 motors, and 4 wheels. A little bit about these motors. Now, if you're using motors that don't already have wires soldered to them, I want you to look really closely at the motors, and you'll notice these 2 circular metal tabs on the sides of the motors. It's in between those circular tabs that we need to hook wires to connect these motors to the rest of the circuit that we're going to build. So if your motors didn't come with wires already soldered to them, that's okay. Here's how you get around that. Just take one of your jumper wires and using your thumb and a hard surface, just bend over the tip of the jumper wire until it hooks. And it's that hook that you're going to hook through the metal loops on that motor. The next thing we're going to do is attach the motors to the bottom of the lower level of this car. To do that, the first thing we'll do is attach these black coated discs to the motors. Now this step is optional because these black coated discs are really used to tell just how fast these motors spin, since all of them kind of have slightly different speeds out the box. But we won't be doing that in this project, so it's optional. Next, you're going to attach these T-shaped fasteners to the motors. These T-shaped fasteners, their purpose is to hold the motors in place, and each motor needs 2 of them. There are 2 of these fasteners per motor. So take one of them and slide them in one of these 4 rectangular slots that you see on the car, making sure that the head of the T is at the bottom so that you can't pull the T through. Next, we'll attach one of the motors to the fasteners. So to align this motor with the fastener, you want to make sure that the wires of the motor are not only facing inward, but also toward the middle of the car, while the shaft that the wheel is going to be attached to is closer to the edge of the car. Next, attach the second T-shaped fastener. Notice the 2 holes on the side of the motor and the 2 holes on the side of the fastener. You have to align those with each other. And when you do that, the fastener should slide in this little rectangular groove on the side of the car. Notice there are 4 of them. Next, take one of your long screws and with the head of the screw facing the outer edge of the car, slide that long screw into one of those holes on the side of the T-shaped fastener. And then do the same with the other hole on that T-shaped fastener. Just slide it all the way in through the motor and the T-shaped fastener. Next, grab some nuts and screw the nuts onto those screws. And the key to do that is to use your fingers to hold the nuts still while you use a screwdriver to turn and tighten the screw. But don't over tighten them because acrylic is fragile, and if you do, you might crack your acrylic. Once you've done this, repeat this step for your other 3 motors. The next step of this process is to attach the upper level of the chassis to the lower level. So take your lower level with the motors on it and flip it upside down so that the motors are down facing the table. And then you see these 6 evenly spaced holes on top of the lower level? It's in those holes that we're going to insert our brass spacers. Let's start with just one. Take one of your brass spacers and insert the male side of that spacer down into one of those holes. And then once you get that spacer inserted into the hole, take a nut and secure that spacer onto the chassis. And repeat this process for the other 5 holes using 5 other spacers and nuts. Once you got your spacers in, take your top piece of your chassis and align the evenly spaced holes on it with the spacers that you just installed. Once you got it aligned, secure the top level of the chassis with 6 small screws. Next, we need to attach the wheels to the motors. This is easy. All you got to do is align the flat edges of the motor shaft with the flat edges of the wheels and just pop them in. And once you've done that, your chassis is complete.
If you found this video entertaining or feel that it made learning robotics slightly easier, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.